Do I love the album? I kind of like it, but I love that song.
Van Halen was a young, hungry band with something to prove.
Dokken, welcome to the hair metal guru. It's nice to have you here.
I mean, come on, we get it. You like the blues, but you're not Led Zeppelin.
Steve Clark died. Def Leppard's never been the
In
same.
'87, I love that album. I played the hell out of it, wore out the cassette.
You've been sleeping all day because you're very pregnant. You got babies in your boobies. Well, I love the Long Cold Winter album. I hate the song Long Cold Winter.
The guy, fun fact, has a right hand of steel.
Now we're talking about strippers and below, so it's time to move on.
I was going to put ballads on my list, but I decided not to be a sissy and put real songs on. But
I've heard that you've been trying to build up the stamina with your right hand for a while.
Yeah, but part of me also respects they said, fuck it, we're going to do what we want to do.
I ran out of milk, but Charlie is pregnant.
Love Bites is 10 pounds of shit in a 9-pound bag.
Fuck it, you can milk a cow, you can probably milk a dog. Right?
You're a dumbass, the name it.
I am more mature, even though I talked about milking my dog's nipples a little bit.
Don't go. If you're going to be an asshole, don't go.
It is getting fucking dark. I hope that makes me look sexy. By the way, I am single.
Look, I came here to do two things, chew bubblegum and talk hair metal, and it looks like I'm almost out of bubblegum.
All right, welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru, and back by popular demand. And from now on, I'm going to refer to Bryan as the talent.
No.
Bryan from the Hairband Basement, because today I was a little late getting logged on to Zoom, and he sent me a note saying making the talent wait, real cool. So anyway, I'm just fucking with him. Bryan from the Hairband Basement has an awesome show on Station Head, and I love chatting music with him. So he is back. Welcome back, Bryan.
Thanks again. Don't call me the talent. It's too much pressure. I'm not going to live up to that title. There's no fucking way I'll do that.
Right.
But what's this, the third time I'm on? It's like the third time's the charm. Now it's my chance to really fuck it up and never be on again. Say something stupid, I'll never be back.
And you're getting close right now, fucker.
Yeah.
No, Bryan, tell everybody about your X handle. Tell them about the awesome music show that you have on Station Head.
All right, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at HB Basement. Talk music there. I got a show on Station Head, Hairband Basement. Usually it's every other Friday and Saturday, so alternates every week. Like I think by the time this airs, I'll be on that Friday. But if you download the Station Head app, just put in Hairband Basement, I should come up, and you can listen to all my past shows. I record them, so you can listen to all of it there. I play the deepest of tracks, the rarest of bands, the little known songs by the biggest name artists from before, during, and after the decade of decadence. So if you like this shit and want some deeper stuff other than every rose has its thorn and fucking same shit, pour some sugar on me, yeah, check out my show.
And I'm assuming if you're watching this shit, then you probably are gonna like his shit. So awesome stuff. I love you sharing from like the really cool underground bands, and that's I find these days I kind of avoid the big popular bands. I'm always looking for something that I haven't found or something that I haven't listened to, the underground shit. So anyway, I might be a little hyped up. I am drinking coffee, and so I ran out of milk, but Charlie is pregnant.
She's pregnant. It's not mine.
And a couple of weeks away from delivery, so I figured, fuck it, you can milk a cow, you can probably milk a dog, right? So anyway, I gave her a couple tugs, and what do you know? Milk carton's full. So cheers. Okay.
You're not fucking serious, are you?
I'm gonna leave that up to you to decide.
Just sitting there like this under your dog. Good girl.
Charlie's over here taking a nap because it seems that wore her out. So look up.
Yeah, there you go. Just laying there. That bastard took all my milk. That's for my babies.
That's right. You got 2 weeks to build it back up. So anyway, hey, this is where fuck it. I watch all these guys that do this kind of shit, and this is where they're always like, comment, subscribe. So I hate asking for that shit. So you know what? Fuck it. Don't do any of that, or do it, whatever. So I appreciate anybody who watches what I do. And while I'm at that, Darren, I hope I pronounce this right. Darren Everard from England. Like, holy shit, people from England watch this. Sent me a donation through PayPal. from my YouTube channel. So I just please know that unbelievable that number one, that people from England are watching, and that
That's fucking cool, actually.
yeah, and that you're
cool.
kind enough to donate. So anybody who donates or subscribes or whatever, just know that it means a lot to me, and it will help me, because the better this does, the less I have to do out there. And it's a scary world, so I'd rather just sit here and talk music. Anyway, one other thing that I want to do. So I said that I want to start sharing shit that I frame, and you'll notice that my walls are all full of vintage framed music memorabilia. So this right here is a original 1989. It's the first sign that I saw of Warrant in Billboard magazine. And it says, Warrant, they're busting down your door and coming in. And like these radio stations will say, hey, the new single Down Boys is doing well here. And so they put these quotes. So anyway, everybody knows that I'm a major Warrant fan, done multiple videos on Janie Lane and Warrant. So this is from 1989, promoting the album Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. And it came out of a billboard. So I love this kind of shit. So I just want to share it with the people who watch. And with that, today we are talking, well, you and I did best hair metal album openers a week or two ago. And so, and this was your suggestion, by the way, so thank you for the suggestion. Said, hey, how about best album closers? And what the fuck, if you're going to do openers, you might as well do closers.
If you're going to start, might as well have a happy ending at the end.
Yeah. No, I like happy endings. And
who doesn't?
So, all right. So with that, we each came up with 10, and I kind of did, you know, when we were talking about the openers, I didn't want to just pick album closers because I love the album. I legitimately have to love the closing song. So you are actually going to see a couple of new albums that I've never talked about in the past. So anyway, so that makes this, I think, a cool episode. So without further ado, Bryan, let's get into it. What is your number 10 album closer?
All right. Well, see, with me, I had it's almost the same attitude we did with the openers, where it's a song that really rounds out the album, and it's so kick-ass. You want to, back in the day, kids, used to be a thing called cassettes. We used to listen to music on. You'd flip the tape over, stick it, and start playing it all over again because the album was that good.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, I gave you the idea for this. I actually did an album closer show on my Station Head show, where at the end of the month I have a theme-based show. And was it February 23rd? That was when I aired it. I did a clothing album show, and to do this show, I was replaying the playlist I had just to refresh what I had, what songs I might want to add. Maybe there was one I forgot, and this one almost didn't make the list because I completely forgot about it till I was playing that playlist, and it came on, and I was like, hell yeah, this has to be on my list. This probably should be higher up, but I added it because it wasn't on there in the beginning. But it's Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden from their 82 album, Number of the Beast. A kick-ass song. An unbelievably amazing song. That's Bruce Dickinson's fucking first album with them.
Right.
And to end with that song, amazing. Just amazing. And like, that's not one of their more famous popular songs unless you're a Maiden fan.
Right.
And you want to see that thing played live. It's just a great tune. And just on the way back from work today, just blasting in the car, going, "Holy shit, this thing is awesome!"
Yeah,
I mean, and Steve Harris is an incredible bassist. The guy, fun fact, has a right hand of steel. I don't know how he plays that fast consistently without getting tired. But yeah, unbelievable album, and that's a hell of a way to close it out.
And so Bryan, you can actually see, plays bass. I don't play an instrument, but you can listen to Iron Maiden songs and hear those fucking bass lines.
Yes,
that shit is complicated. You know?
It's not like it's not so much only complicated. I wouldn't say it's highly complicated, but it's the stamina to play it with your two fingers in your right hand. It's just him thumping away on a steady pace on that Fender Precision, and it's like, holy shit. I've tried to play some of the songs, and you're like, I got to work on my stamina to not get tired halfway through this fucking song.
Well, and
a lot of the stuff like that.
I've heard that you've been trying to build up the stamina with your right hand for a while.
I see what you did there.
Anyway, yeah. See, that's kind
Yeah,
of
to that look what the cat
from,
drag didn't cover. That's what I've been doing.
that's kind of shit you don't get from other music channels. Is
That's right. Yeah,
quality
jerk
band.
off jokes.
Let me say that I'm not like I like the hits that I know from Iron Maiden, but I probably have never purchased. I have purchased one Iron Maiden CD and it was like a best of. And I love Run to the Hills. I love, the big songs that I know, but I just haven't gotten to but obviously I respect their legacy, and Iron Maiden fans are fucking nuts. Like all the shit that I sell in Fargo, I bet in the top 5 bands that I get requests for, there'd be Rush and there'd be Iron Maiden for memorabilia. So
yeah.
anyway.
I would say if you want an intro to Iron Maiden, get their live album, Live After Death.
Okay.
It's like a best of from their first 4 albums, 4 or 5, all the way up through Power Slave, and they had that live album. Great. It's a great album, great live album.
Okay.
But yeah, when I was in high school, I was obsessed with Iron Maiden. They were my favorite bands.
Right.
And then I kind of trailed off after Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. And then, what was it after that? No Rest for the Dying. If I got the right name, was
The Dying. Was that like 92, I think?
90. I think it was 90.
Okay. I just remember passing an ad for that. And
I think maybe Fear the Dark was 92. So I don't remember that much, but through from the first album to Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, it's just great stuff. It's classic Iron Maiden.
Do you like the Paul Di'Anno?
Yes, I like that stuff too. Okay. Yeah, the first 2 albums, the self-titled and Killers, got some great songs on it, and it had more of a punk sound to it. Right. I mean, Dickinson did kind of change the sound of the band, but they're both awesome. I think it's both great.
And now I'll just throw it, and just because I like hearing this shit, what about the Blaze Bayley stuff? Obviously,
I was kind of out by then.
It was in the 90s.
And I was kind of out by then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird when you get to our age with music, you get bands making newer stuff, and then you're like, I want to hear the old shit that I grew up on.
Right.
I'm kind of the same way with Maiden. So I'm not going to say I'm an expert after '88, but those first 7 albums, I worship those things. It's great fucking music.
Right. Okay.
That's why they made my number 10.
Awesome. My number 10. And this comes from a band that man, I put them on my very first hair metal bands. Hair metal bands that could have and should have but didn't. And the band is Dirty Looks, and it's not technically their debut. Somebody got pissed because I said, well, it's their major label debut. The album was called Cool from the Wire, that came out in '88, and the last song on that is called Get Off. And it wasn't a single or anything, but when I listened to that album, that song and a couple other songs, I'm like, shit, should have been singles, should have gotten on the radio. Well, the album went to 134 on Billboard, no certification. But the band, they put out Turn of the Screw a year later. I mean, they put out so many albums over the years, and Henrik Ostergaard, is it Ostergaard or Ostergaard? Anyway, it died a number of years back. I think he had an alcohol issue, a lot of addiction problems. So he was in his 40s, probably around the same age as Janie Lane. But that band is. I think there's a little bit of an AC/DC influence in the guitar. And most people know I'm a huge AC/DC fan. Get Off, fucking super catchy. Henrik's got, just this scream that just grips me by the fucking heart. So anyway, great song, great album. Band didn't do much, but they deserve more attention.
Yeah, I was gonna say that that's one of those bands, like, how weren't these guys bigger?
Yeah. And
you're right, they had that AC/DC kind of sound to them and hooky stuff, and I don't know, just this never caught on.
They weren't pretty. And which sucks. But I mean, they weren't gonna give you a big love song. So, but I mean, damn it, You know, AC/DC wasn't doing that shit, and AC/DC wasn't pretty to look at. But by the late '80s, I mean, most of the bands that were getting big, besides having great songs, you know, had a fucking pretty lead singer, and you know, which I hated that shit.
Yeah, but that was the sign of the times. As MTV was the big way to get music, and you had to have the look. That was the thing. I remember what was the band Little Caesar with their debut in '90. It's a great album, but they just weren't pretty enough to, you know, for the girls to gush over in their videos. And it's a shame. They were a talented band. And you're right. A lot of bands, if they didn't have the look, it just wasn't. That's why every other band had a blonde singer and it looked the same as the last one and all this stuff. But
I hate when people who bash on hair metal will say, I mean, it's true that MTV was gonna promote the pretty boys. They were gonna promote ballads, but true fans, I didn't fucking, it didn't matter to me what they looked like. I liked the music.
Yeah.
You know, maybe for teenage girls, maybe that helped. Maybe to get on MTV that helped. But if your song sucked, I wanted nothing to do with you. Whether you were
I get that. I totally get that.
So people will be like, oh, you guys just like the pretty boy bands. I'm like, no, I like the bands whose songs were awesome. MTV liked pretty boy bands.
Yeah, but the thing is, everyone says, oh, it was about the look, but I mean, you can list easily 50 guitarists from the genre that were fucking talented. Just talented. Songwriting, they were talented. That vocalists that could hit incredible notes.
Exactly.
And you get this shit where it's all about the image and the look.
You can never claim that. I mean, there might have been some, but most of those bands could play fucking grunge bands, you know, under the table.
Yes.
You know, instrument wise or, you know, vocally. I mean, there were some decent singers, but you know what I'm saying? Like
but that goes back to, like, I'm sure Mozart was a good looking dude. He played music. I'm sure he was getting laid left and right. It doesn't change because it's the 1980s. Like, come on.
Obviously.
The same thing.
I mean, you know, he was taking girls in the back and they were throwing baloney off strippers' asses and snorting coke off.
Exactly. You know? That's right. That's right. They're fucking him for blow. That's what it was.
Okay. All right. We're getting now we're talking about strippers and
with this history lesson all of a sudden.
Now we're talking about strippers and blow, so it's time to move on to your number 9. What do you got?
All right, my number 9 is "Take Me Back" from Cinderella's "Long Cold Winter," closing out that great album. That song, I think, is like a perfect example of what that album's about. It is a good mix of blues and rock. And it doesn't go overboard with it. It starts off, the song starts off with that slide guitar, and it goes into the rest of the tune, and it has that perfect blend where, this works. We've talked about it before. The next album, Heartbreak Station, they went a little too towards the bluesy side, and it was like, guys, what are you doing? I mean, come on, we get it. You like the blues, but you're not Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin did that. If you want to have a good blues song, do what Zeppelin did and rip off a blues artist song and claim it as your own and do it better. I mean, but these guys, they went overboard with that third album. But this song, I think, is a perfect mix of both, and it was a great way to round out that fantastic album. I started last week. I had the opening track, "Bad Seamstress Blues" and "Falling Apart at the Seams." And everything, I think the song "Long Cold Winter," I'm like, but the rest of that album, great. This is a perfect way to close it out.
Yep. And I thought that could have been a single.
Easily, yes, I agree with that.
Love that chorus.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Like if you know John Kalodner, like he was a big A&R guy, signed all these bands. He kind of helped get Aerosmith back on track. You know, after the 70s with Permanent Vacation and Pump. Anyway, just a huge A&R artist and representation, whatever, guy in hair metal. But he always said, look, I know, you gotta follow your heart, and you have to grow. So he go like, I understand when you gotta but he goes, I need 4 singles. I need 4 songs that I can market to radio. So I bring that up just because, like, I get Cinderella like the blues. Hey, you put I love the Long Cold Winter album. I hate the song Long Cold Winter.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
You know, on Heartbreak Station, hey, do 2 or 3 songs like that. Don't completely abandon your fan base. You know, I mean, unless you hated the shit that you were playing on Night Songs and Long Cold Winter. In that case, that really pisses me off that you were just lying to us all in those first couple albums, which I don't think you were.
No.
You know, do a couple songs of that stuff. You know, you're growing, you like different shit, but give us something that we can say, hey, here's the band I fell in love with.
Yeah, but part of me also respects they said, fuck it, we're gonna do what we want to do.
Sure.
Which, okay,
I mean,
that's cool, but I don't have to like it.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do. Don't get mad. Don't get mad if I don't buy the album. You know?
You're
what it is.
Fucking right. And there are many fans who will say, I love Heartbreak Station. That's fine. I bought it because and I do like some of the songs.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But it also I was really let down. I'm like, oh, I like a couple of these, but geez, there's a lot of shit on here. You know?
Yeah, I am with you on that too. I mean, I wouldn't say it's absolute shit, but they are skippable. They're totally skippable. I'm like, no, can't do this one. This one I like. This one's okay. But yeah, compared to the first two and even the one after, Still Climbing, not even close. Not even close.
Yep. Okay, my number 9. Man, I've talked about this album a lot, and this album made our flops list, or was it your flop? Anyway, it made one of my hair metal flops list. It pissed a lot of people off, but I've also said that this is my favorite album from this band. The band is Skid Row. The album is Slave to the Grind, and the closing track is a phenomenal fucking ballad, a phenomenal ballad called Wasted Time. And it was released as a single. It's got a great ballad, or it's got a great video. I think, if I understand, that the song seems to be about a friend who is spiraling down in addiction, you know.
Steven Adler. It's about Steven Adler.
Is it about? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steven Adler.
Knew it was like an addiction to heroin. I did not get the Steven Adler connection.
Yeah.
You heard it here. Shit.
If it's wrong, don't fucking put my house down.
Right. If it's wrong, I'm gonna go double check and I'm gonna edit that shit out.
Okay, go right ahead.
And have people thinking that we don't know what we're talking about. So
you're the good one, not me. I'm in a basement.
Yeah. Hey. So the great album, my favorite Skid Row album, debuts #1 on Billboard, goes 2 times platinum. But a song like Wasted Time, I think, should have been a hit. Didn't get even close to the top 40. I think it got to like number 80 on the Billboard 100. That is not even close to being a hit. So You've said it before, name the hit off the album. There's no hits. It sold 2 million because they debut went 5 times platinum, and everybody was jacked for this album. I mean, I it wasn't quite to the level of people looking forward to the Use Your Illusions, which came out that year, but a lot of people were super pumped. So anyway, it goes double platinum, but should have done better, and that song should have been the ballad that made that album hit.
Yeah, and that's a great tune. That is just a fantastic tune. And I was going to put ballads on my list, but I decided not to be a sissy and put real songs on. But that it wasn't with our show that you brought it up as a flop, but we did talk about it, and I did say, would name the hit. Yep. And that's when we said this too in that show, where you see them writing more serious stuff other than My Girlfriend Left Me or I Love You So Much, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is some deep shit they're talking about. Yep. And that's that whole album, basically. It's a more mature album. Of course, it's heavier, and everyone knows about that. But the reason why it was #1, they started counting album sales differently when that hit the stores. Because they used to be like, how many did you sell? Oh, we'll make up a number. Yep. But now they were scanning the codes to see how many albums they were selling. So that kind of helped the sales and the numbers. But yeah, that album doesn't have a smash hit like I Remember You or 18 in Life, though I think it's a better album than the debut.
Yep.
The debut was fantastic.
But it
yeah,
just goes to show, like, heavy metal was so huge that the first time they got a real, it's called sound scan. They first, you know, and because they used to call record stores and say, "Hey, what's your top seller?" Oh, okay,
yeah.
that's well. Now it was counting, and the first week that they did it, Skid Row goes to number one. So you know, and I was shit looking at music magazines. I mean, they were on the cover of every, it almost seemed like, I mean, they were right next to Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as being the biggest metal, I mean, Motley Crue was there too, but geez, Skid Row was everywhere. And then that album, I always kind of wonder, I was looking through a bunch of old music or an old Kerrang magazine, and Sebastian is just taking a shit on John Bon Jovi. Because if you know the end of the New Jersey tour, there was like, they got into kind of a fight.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wonder, because Bon Jovi's management was also part of Skid Row's management. And you wonder if John Bon Jovi's got a lot of pull. And if he's like, you know what? Fuck this guy. You know? And suddenly they're not doing everything they could for that. I'm just
possibly. I mean,
he fucked with John Bon Jovi, and the next album, none of the songs are hits, and the album kind of flops. And you're like, why would that have flopped? It should have been huge, and it's a great album, but it wasn't. And right before it came out, he's like, "Yeah, John Bon Jovi. What does he think? He's in the fucking mafia? You know, maybe he should. You know, I mean."
What a volatile problem Baz is.
I'm going to share that article on X at Hair Metal Guru, and check it out, because it's not great.
I mean, there's so many instances where Bach is saying stuff, and you just know the rest of the band's like, "Oh, shut up! What are you doing? Holy, we got to deal with this shit again. He's throwing bottles now. Oh, he's wearing that stupid T-shirt. It's always something. It was always something. But not for nothing, they kept him in the news. They did keep him, keep him on the front page, articles, everything. But I can't see, like, oh God, fucking Sabo being like, "Oh, this is good." Now he's probably like, "Oh shit, you gotta be kidding me with this." And like, when they booted him in the mid '90s, they were probably just like, "We can't do this anymore. We're not selling millions. We're not selling out arenas. We're not headlining major tours, and we're still dealing with bullshit." Well, now he's gonna block me now. Fuck.
Well, now. I've been blocked for years now, so.
Gee, I wonder why. I talk shit about him and say he sucks, but he blocked me for some reason.
Okay, we're on to your number 8. What do you got?
All right, my number 8, the closer for Tesla's second album, Great Radio Controversy from '89, Party's Over. This was actually my first Tesla album. I heard Heaven's Trail, No Way Out. I saw the video on MTV, and I'm like, I got to get this album. And then you find out they had another album before that. I've said it before. I would buy an album and then buy the back catalog of a band. Thankfully, for my wallet's sake, there's only one other album before that, but this album just kicks ass. Tesla's a kick-ass band. Good old-fashioned T-shirt and jeans band. And this is just a great way to close out the album. But one thing I'm going to say about them, Tommy Scioscia and Frank Hannon, underrated as guitarists. They're one of those bands that have two kick-ass guitarists running the show on that fucking that band, and it's just, the whole album's just great and a fantastic way to close it out. I mean, turn out the lights, the party's over. There you go, wrap up the song, the end.
I know Hannon like plays most of the solos and shit. Yeah, but I felt like, because, and I never knew how to pronounce his fucking name. Tommy is Scioscia.
Yeah, I say Scioscia, but you're right.
Yeah, Scioscia. So when he left the band, I feel like they really lost something. You know, he had big addiction problems. So it's kind of like, GNR loses Izzy Stradlin. I feel like that really hurt the band.
I agree.
When Steve Clark died, Def Leppard's never been the same. No, I mean, that shit might have happened regardless, but it's just weird how,
But also, never underestimate the power of a good rhythm guitarist.
Fuck yes.
I think a lot of people always give the credit or the attention to the guy doing the solos.
Yes.
But I mean, both those guys are rocking. I mean, it gives it a good sound. Personally, as a bassist, I like having the 4-piece where you can hear the bass more.
Yeah.
But I mean, I want to say, I think there's 3 bands on my list that they both have excellent guitarists, and it shows in the music they make.
And the rhythm guitar is what gives you that melodic catchiness throughout the song. You know, I mean, the solo is great too, but you know, that simple, you know, whatever it's called, that simple guitar riff that is playing in the back while that song's going on, the rhythm part is to me a huge part of what makes a song catchy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can see that.
I fucking love Tesla, and I know we need to do an episode on best debut albums, because man, Mechanical Resonance, I still fucking worship that album.
It's a fantastic album, and to come out in '86 when everyone's teasing up the hair, putting on the makeup, all that shit, and Tesla's like, "No, we're gonna dress up like we go to the local dive bar, t-shirt, jeans, maybe a leather jacket, and that's it, and we're gonna play some kick-ass music." That debut is fantastic.
I bet I mean, maybe not, but I bet a lot of people pressured him. Hey, you got to do what everybody else is doing, and they're like, "No, we're good like this," and it fucking worked. So,
but I also think part of it is that's how they got signed. I don't think they had the makeup on, got rid of it, and then after they got signed.
I mean,
you
know, yeah.
And they've been doing it since '86. They haven't really changed their image. They don't have an image. Regular guys playing music.
I saw them live last summer, and they are still, you know, phenomenal live. And Jeff Keith, I mean, can still, you know, like you see some bands and you're like, oh, they're kind of struggling vocally. I mean, usually the band, but Jeff Keith still can fucking sing, and it's awesome. So
I wonder if they have to tune down for that, because a lot of times when vocalists get older, their voices don't hit the same high notes they used to, and they'll tune down to kind of compensate. I wonder if Tesla has to do that. Has to deal with that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think, maybe their songs are really tuned down though. They might have some 1 or 2 or something.
Yeah,
but something like a Bon Jovi, they're tuning down almost like a full step just to get him to bang out the hits. So
he can.
It happens when you get older. You know?
They're tuning down in a way that makes the song like almost not. You're like, what?
Like Black Sabbath, they're tuning.
I mean, at least with Tesla, they may be tuning down, but it still sounds. I mean, and shit. I mean, everybody knows John's been going through a lot of vocal problems, so I at least, you know, he's been honest and upfront about it, and probably better to go on stage and struggle than they could just fucking play the tapes, and you know, maybe we wouldn't know. But
I respect that. I totally respect that he's still trying to do it. I mean, you listen to that second part of Living on a Prayer with that key change. He's hitting notes that are just insane. And when that became a hit, he's singing it live every fucking show he was doing.
Yeah.
So then when you hear New Jersey, there's some strain in his voice, because that song made his voice shot. Oh my God, just to keep doing that. But yeah, you get older, your voice is not going to be what it was when you were 25. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we've both been teachers in our lives, and listen to how our voices change, because we got to yell at fucking kids all the time.
You gotta have your school voice, your classroom voice.
That's right. That's right.
You know, hey, sit down. Cut the crap.
And I was in the Army too, so I'm like, you will sit down and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I would never do that. And I like to think that my kids thought I was a cool teacher, so I'm just talking shit. I'm not like all badass in the classroom.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. My number 8, and this is an album that, if you follow me on X, I've shit on it quite a bit. It was in my flops episode, and I've told people that this album has aged horribly, and it's Adrenalize from Def Leppard. And
you got shit for this.
Well, so I love High and Dry. I love Pyromania. And I don't think it's aged very well, Hysteria, but I loved it when it came out. Now I'm kind of like, there's still some good stuff on there. But even when Adrenalize came out and Do You Want to Get Rocked, I'm like, what the fuck? you know, I still kind of liked it, but you're like, okay, that's a little. Anyway, the last song on Adrenalize is one of my favorite songs, whether it's on Adrenalize or Hysteria. It's called Tear It Down. And
Mhm.
that is finally a song where you're like, holy shit, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, the guitar riff is just and the drums are just thumping, a hugely catchy chorus. And I'm like, where? So I know that that song dates back to Hysteria. I think it came out on, you know, maybe as a B-side. Somebody can probably fill me in
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
in
it did.
the comments. Came out as a B-side on
Yeah.
Hysteria. And it's changed a little bit, but you know, not dramatically for Adrenalize and maybe just produced differently, but still awesome song, my favorite song on that album. And so and I said it was a flop. I mean, it went to number one. It was 3 times platinum, but they
I'm pissed
released
about that.
7 singles. And for a record company to promote 7 singles and make all those videos and own, you know, there were 7 singles on Hysteria,
Yeah.
12 times platinum. So I'm sure they were thinking one of these singles is gonna, well, it was fucking 1992. Anyway, you know, do I love the album? I kind of like it, but I love that song.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the best song off the album.
Yeah.
And if you look at Def Leppard, like the first 2 albums, I love those albums. High and Dry is my favorite album by Def Leppard. Really the last metal album they did.
Yeah.
And then you had Pyromania, which was kind of like this bridge between the metal side they had from the first 2 albums and them getting more commercial. And then by Hysteria on, they had this different sound completely than the first 2 albums, which was, you know, beyond, you know, it was commercially successful, but they did go more commercial. And yeah, they tried. I think we said this when we talked about this album. It was almost like they tried to have Hysteria too.
Yeah.
And like you said, Steve Clark really wasn't there, and it just didn't come out. I personally, it didn't come out as well. I agree with you that I think Hysteria does sound very dated.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the flaws of it now. And I like I said last show, I played it like a few months ago, and I was skipping a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
And but in '87, I love that album. I played the hell out of it, wore out the cassette. Right. But now I'd rather listen to High and Dry any day than any stuff. It's a great album. I almost put No 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 as one of the closing songs from High and Dry. But yeah, I do agree that the Tear It Down probably the best song, easily the best song on that album.
Yeah.
And it kind of has like that almost, it has a Hysteria feel to it. That I could easily have seen that, but I rather would have had that on Hysteria than that shit fucking garbage Love Bites. Right. I'm gonna say what you love. Love Bites is 10 pounds of shit in a 9-pound bag. I hate that song. Oh my god, that song's terrible. God.
I won't give it away, but Metal Mike and I have an episode planned for later in the week, and I will be talking about Love Bites, and no, it will not be good.
How can it be? How the fuck can that song be talked about in a good way? People love it. Good for you. Great.
Yeah, good for you.
I think I think it's ass.
Yeah, yeah. All right. That's my number 8. What's your number 7?
My number 7, a band you already talked about before. It's Midnight Tornado from Skid Row's debut album from '89. I mean, it is a great ending to that fantastic album. It's ballsy. And I almost think a song like that could have been on Slave to the Grind. Yep. It was almost a preview of what's coming up. It's not as heavy as a lot of the heavier songs on the album, but still, it's got a lot to it where it's just awesome. And it's got that, it's almost like 2 songs in one, where after the solo, Sebastian Bach has that scream. And then, what's the drummer's name? Rob Alfuso. He's got that that second half. It's almost a second song. And that is just kick ass. And that's another band where you got Dave Sabo and Scotty Hill just killing it as the 2 guitarists, again, dueling guitarists. I mean, Sabo did a lot of the solos on the more heavier stuff and the rockin' songs. And what's his face? Hill took over the ballads with the solos. Yep. And those 2 guys they work great. They work great together. And I think it's one of my favorite songs off that debut album.
Yeah,
you go again. It's like a journey. You're starting off the album with another great opener, big guns, and you're closing with that, and it's like, holy shit! Let me start this album over again. But yeah, again, one of my favorite songs off that album.
When I got that, well, I'm sure I got it on cassette because I was still buying cassettes in '89. I wore that fucker out. Like I played that thing non-stop. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's not in 89, 90, there's not a band I identified with more than Skid Row. That fucking debut album. Now, later on I started to appreciate more serious stuff, and so that's why I think now I go back to Slave to the Grind more than the debut, but that debut like controlled me for like a fucking year. So
yeah, it's a great album. But yeah, as you get older, you get more mature and you start liking more mature shit. But
yeah,
as a debut, like you said, if you do a debut album show, that it's got to be on someone's list. That is a great fucking album. But I'm gonna say I like Slave the Grind better.
Yep,
is what it is.
I'd like to point out that I am more mature, even though I talked about milking my dog's nipples a little bit ago. So I'm very mature.
You did it in a mature way.
For the record, I didn't milk my dog. Okay. I'm sure a lot of people, I probably got comments coming right now because somebody's like, motherfucker, did you really milk? No, I didn't milk my dog, but I was tempted. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. My number 7. Sometimes I feel like I get repetitive because some of these albums and again, I had to really like the album, but I had to really like the closer. But this song is Clock Strikes, comes off 1992's Under the Influence from the band Wildside. I worship that album. There's so many potential hits. And Brent Woods on guitar. I mean, Brent Woods is played for Vince Neil. He's played for Sebastian Bach. He's played all over the place. Amazing guitarist and their vocalist. Again, I thought it was the second coming of Axl Rose. So that song will just make the hair grow on your chest. And if you don't want hair, it'll take the hair off your chest too. Okay. So I just can't say enough about that album. I wish somebody would remaster it and put it on vinyl. Tough. Stevie Rochelle did a great remaster of What Comes Around Goes Around. Hey, somebody in Wildside, I can't believe sometimes I'm like, hey, somebody in Wildside has to watch some of this shit. So message me.
Why?
And so if you are in Wildside and you're watching this, I'd love to talk to you about this album. So yes, Clock Strikes, Wildside.
I almost had this on my list. This almost made my list. And yeah, it's a fantastic album. Start to finish. And obviously this finisher is a great song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those albums that too late to the party. I mean, 1992, no one's really buying this stuff. And yeah, this came out in 88, 89. Good God, it would have been massive. It's such a great album too.
It's like it would have fit right in with Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, LA Guns. It would have fit right in with those bands. Phenomenal ballads, epic fucking catchy rock shit, sleazy, so.
Because what is it? Oh shit! The two songs have a very commercial sound to it. Monkey See, Monkey Do, and Looks Like Love. Those they have commercial hit written all over those things. Yep. And I always looked at them like almost like a combination of Guns N' Roses and Ratt. Because I forget the vocalist's name. He almost sounds like has a Stephen Pearcy tone to his voice. But yeah,
Drew. I think he went by Drew Rose on the album.
Okay.
But his first name's Drew, and his name is like Drew Rosenfeld. And yeah, that fucking what a throat on that guy.
It's just an unbelievable album too. It's one of those albums where you're like, does anyone know about these guys? If they don't, why don't you?
Sure. Tell everybody I did not milk you. Okay. Did not milk you. You're fully safe. And you were very pregnant.
He's like, what am I under oath?
You've been sleeping all day because you're very pregnant. You got babies in your boobies. Yeah. All right. And her belly is getting big. And I don't know if this is weird to say, but her nipples are just getting fucking so that's what made me think of the milk comment. But
okay.
Anyway, I'm
All
sorry I'm
top of
talking
the
about
dog nipple
all right,
obsession.
sorry I'm talking about your nipples on YouTube.
Yes.
But
Let's go back to the music.
Yeah,
To the
yeah.
dog nipple.
You're very famous, you're very nice, and everybody loves you on YouTube. Okay. All right. So, yep, Wildside. That's mine. What's your number 6?
That's a good pick. All right, mine again. Another band that should have been big. If it came out earlier, I think they would have. But it's "Sail Away" by Tigertailz from their "Don't Come Easy" album from 1991. Again, another great album, start to finish. This is a great ending to this album, and I always like a song that's like a history of the band.
Yeah,
and they're singing about themselves. Hey, we got together to put a band together. We got a couple more guys to join us. Here we are.
Yep.
Unfortunately, too late to the party. And this is one of the Wildside Under the Influence album. This album, one of those kind of albums that didn't make it big, but people that are into this music, they know all about it, and they're fans about this. You know, these two albums. Again, if it came out earlier, they would have been big. But I think another case, a great debut, great ending to the album, has that great acoustic start. And what's his name? Danny Vaughan, fantastic voice, unbelievable voice.
He sounds like somebody who could have sang for Journey. You know, very clean, very. He sang on an album, on a Wasted album called "Save the Prayers," and it reminds me of a more rocking Journey. What's it called? Singing to the Night. Check that song out. Very Journey-ish, but that guy's got a great fucking voice. And I did an episode on my favorite or hair metal ballads that should have been huge, and the song "Standing Alone" on that Tigertailz debut called "Don't Come Easy" was tied for #1 with a Lillian Axe song. Anyway, like you were saying, I call it the underground hair metal circles. People fucking love that album, you know. That's where I'm talking about the albums that should have been big but weren't. Tigertailz, Wildside. I mean, there's many others, but
Kick Tracy, what's the other? Bangalore Choir. There's so many of these bands that came out in the early 90s that just it was too late to be big. But people that are into this music, they love that stuff. It's great stuff. It's great stuff.
And one of my favorite parts about doing this is when people write or comment and they're like, dude, I'm starting to buy all these albums, and I'm like, that's half of the reason I started this is I'm like, I want other people to love this shit like you and I do, you know?
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I got the Station Head show, was like A, to play this stuff, and B, hopefully introduce people to some new bands, because there's so much of this stuff out there that's just killer, and they're not Poison, Skid Row, Motley Crue, Warrant, and Def Leppard. You know, there's more to it than those. Those big bands.
And I love those bands, but I almost love these other bands more because I'm like, oh, they had what those huge bands had. Just for whatever reason, just shit didn't go their way.
Yeah.
All right. Your shit.
No, you go. It's you.
What did we just talk about?
I just sail away from Tigertailz. You're number 6. My way to host.
My memory. Being a fucking home here talking about. All right. Okay. My number 6. This would be the first time, unbelievably, there's a couple albums a couple bands, huge bands that I've never talked about, surprisingly, but coming in at number 6 is the song Dream Warriors from Dokken. Dokken, welcome to the hair metal guru. It's nice to have you here. Okay.
You've never talked about Dokken? Holy shit.
Wow.
Right? Wow.
Maybe other people like Metal Mike may have, but I've never talked about a Dokken album. And so back comes 1987's Back for the Attack, but everyone knows that song from fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. Was it 3? I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Dream Warriors. That's the name of the song. Movie.
So Dream Warriors was the theme song for that movie, but it really didn't need a movie to be big because, I mean, Dokken was right. I mean, my favorite Dokken album is Under Lock and Key, but I know a lot of people who Back for the Attack is their favorite Dokken album.
That's me. I love that album.
Right. So The album goes to number 13 on Billboard, and surprise. Now, if you can trust the almighty Wikipedia, it only went gold. No way. It had to have gone platinum, right?
What
Anyway,
was the big? I think Dream Warriors might have been the biggest hit off that album,
yeah,
and that was on the soundtrack.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's why.
yeah. So anyway, great song. I mean, Don Dokken, great vocalist. George Lynch, universally talked about as one of the top, at least easy in the top 5 hair metal guitarists of the genre, right? I mean, right up there.
Easily, totally.
Easily. And so great talent, great everything, and you know what? So awesome song. The album, they never, I don't think they ever had an album go double platinum. And so they were always like right under the cusp of your Poisons and those big bands, always right around 1 million. But I always remember people saying like, oh, the next, even Don Dokken, he thought that when they broke up, he thought the next album was going to be the one that pushed him over the top. They'd become a big headlining band, but it just they were always right underneath that top.
But it's not like they were an unknown band. People know Dokken.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Exactly.
It's just one of the mysteries of how Dokken didn't become bigger. But again, a band everyone knows. But the one thing that is my favorite album by them. Back for the Attack. I just love that album. So much good stuff on it. But I remember the video for that fucking song when they fought Freddy Krueger with the power of metal and rock, and like at the end. What's his face? Freddy wakes up and he goes, "What a nightmare! Who were those guys?" Oh, it was Dokken, you burnt motherfucker. That's who it was. I mean, come on. But yeah, it's just great. I agree. That's a totally great way to close out that album. Fantastic album. And yeah, I think maybe part of the reason why I didn't sell more was because that song was on the soundtrack. Right. I'm just guessing here. I have no idea. But you're right. They were one of those bands that were just almost ready to break big. And everyone knew about them, but it just never happened. Yep. Never happened.
I mean,
who the hell knows?
What did they? I mean, they had a hit with "Alone Again," but are there any other like big Dokken ballads?
See, I could only I can rattle off songs they released the singles and were known among the metal community, but I couldn't tell you what their biggest hit. Maybe "Alone Again" was. I can't even think what else was.
As far as a ballad goes, and
they had one on their live album. What the hell was it called?
Beast
Walk
from the
Away.
East?
Yeah, the name of the album was Beast from the East, and the song was Walk Away.
Oh, okay.
And that was a ballad, but I don't think that didn't do like incredibly huge.
No.
So it's one of those bands that everyone knows about, but just never made it big.
And the bands that were getting into the double triple platinum, they almost always had a huch fucking ballad that put them over the top.
Yep.
So I mean, and Dokken, like I said, I mean, the only huge ballad that I can think of is "Alone Again." I don't know how huge it was, but I can't think of any other like, oh man, when you were slow dancing at the high school dances, any other Dokken songs besides that. And
It's Not Love. You're dancing. It's Not Love. Yeah. Or Lightning Strikes Again.
Trust me, I've danced to "It's Not Love" a few times, and it was a very.
But I can't. You're right. I can't think of the big, huge hit that. Like, what's Dokken's biggest hit? I have no idea.
Yeah,
couldn't even tell you that. Maybe it was that.
What
was the one when they're? What was the one that in the video they were playing in the rain?
I don't know.
Was it "Alone Again"? It might have been "Alone Again." Someone in the comments will say it and be like, "No, it's this, you stupid dumbass." I don't know.
How could you not know?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I don't remember everything about everything. My mistake.
Yeah. God. But most people in my comments are fucking awesome. There's just always one.
They are.
There's always one.
There's always that guy. You're right. That came out in August '92, not fucking July, you dummy. Oh, sorry, it's off by 30 days. Okay, I don't know shit about this now.
Right. All right, that was my number 6. What's your number 5?
My number 5, it came up with our flops episode. off of Blue Murder's debut, Black Hearted Woman. That whole album, top to bottom, is great. I love that album. But this one, if you listen to it, it almost has the same riff and feeling as Bad Boys from Whitesnake's '87 album.
Yep.
And you listen to that song and you're like, oh yeah, John Sykes wrote that fucking album for David Coverdale. It's obvious. But I mean, it's such a killer tune. I mean, again, we talked about it. These guys, this album should have been big. I only sold 150,000 copies, which is mind blowing. But again, it's one of those albums. You're into this kind of music. A lot of people, I love that album. It was great. I worship that thing. Just didn't sell. But this is a great way to close out that album. It's a ballsy, heavy tune. Just awesome.
That album and Badlands, I always feel like are two. Where the musician.
You're turning around on Badlands. I noticed you're turning around on Badlands. You finally got it in 2024 about an album that came out in '89.
I used to shit on Badlands and I honestly used to not. I didn't shit on it, but I used to not be a huge Blue Murder fan. But and I'll say A-Fish, who passed away not long ago, rest in peace. Man, he pumped those albums so much, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta go I must have been missing something. And then the more I'm like, God dang it. Okay, like sometimes shit is a real grower. Yeah. So, one or two listens of Badlands, and I was like, yeah, whatever, and Blue Murder kind of the same. And then the more I got into it, the more I was like, wait a minute, now I'm like, I probably listen to those once a week because I never got into them back in the day.
Yeah.
Until lately.
And those two albums for me, I liked when they came out, but as time went on, I liked them even more and more.
Yep.
And now it's like I worship those two things. Those two albums are just fantastic. Unbelievable musicianship. The songs are great. I mean, I can't praise those albums any more than I do already. It's amazing stuff.
And I didn't put obviously I didn't put Blue Murder on my list, but strangely enough, before we started recording this, it is getting fucking dark. I hope that makes me look sexy. By the way, I am single. Okay.
It doesn't, but go on.
Anyway, before we started recording this, I was just watching like old interviews of Carmine Appice and the Fretless Monster. What's his name? Tony Franklin. And just hearing them talk about what happened with that album, how John Sykes just kind of went into a funk because everybody thought that thing was going to blow up. They did put out Nothing But Trouble in '93, but the guy's really been absent from the music scene, which, like you were saying, you said last week, Vito Bratta, please come back. Hey, John Sykes.
I would love to hear new stuff from Sykes. Oh my God. Even a Blue Murder reunion, I would love to see.
Shit.
Holy shit, that would be great. Though when we talked about the flops, we said he hasn't done anything since Blue Murder. And I said in the comments for that show, he was going to be in Winery Dogs.
Yep.
He was going to be the vocalist and guitarist for Winery Dogs, but he's a very methodical worker when it comes to writing new songs and being in the studio. And Sheehan and Portnoy were like, we can't wait on this. We want to get this thing out there and done. And they kind of parted ways. And, it wasn't like you're booted, fuck you, you're out. But it was like, we kind of want to get this thing going. And then it kind of went their separate ways. I would have loved to have heard what those albums would have been like with Sykes playing.
Right.
It would have been totally different albums. And I love Winery Dogs. Those albums are great.
Yeah.
But I would love to have heard maybe some demos or something what those guys would have sounded like with Sykes doing guitar and vocals.
He did. I don't know if it got a national release, but you can find on YouTube like John Sykes Psyops. It's called, like, songs from this solo project that he was doing. So, I mean, there has been some work on some music, but most everybody and Eddie Trunk is always talking about how he wants John Sykes and Blue Murder to get, and I think the other guys are up for it.
Yeah, they are. Because Tony Franklin, he's on X as well. He's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
And I remember it was a few weeks ago, it was the anniversary of the debut's release. And I just asked him, like, what basses did you play on this album? He was more than happy to discuss about it. I played this, I used this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, cool. He's a decent guy.
Yeah.
Decent guy. Incredible bassist, too.
Oh,
incredible bassist.
Okay, my number 5 comes from one of the bands that was right there at the start. Not obviously not quite on Motley Crue's level because that came out in '81, but I love this album. It's Ratt's Out of the Cellar, and the last song is Scene of the Crime. And I mean that whole album, I feel like kind of I feel like Ratt doesn't get enough credit for being, you had Quiet Riot back in '83, but they really disappeared after that first album. Obviously, Motley Crue was the start of it, but I mean, Out of the Cellar came out in '84. That's like really early when you talk about a lot of those big bands were starting in '86. So anyway, Out of the Cellar goes to number 7 on Billboard, goes 3 times platinum. Tons of fucking epic guitar driven. And even though I don't think Stephen Pearcy, at least these days, sounds the best live. I love his gravelly vocals on record. So Scene of the Crime. I mean, you got Warren DeMartini on guitar. Super catchy songs, super great album. I love that band. So that's my number 5.
That almost made my list.
Yeah.
I almost put that one on, and shockingly, that's their biggest selling album.
Yeah.
And Ratt's one of those bands, like they're a staple of glam metal.
Yep.
And it's just like all the way through up until Detonator, they went platinum. Those albums are going platinum. Detonator only sold 500,000, but still, they came out when this type of music started to become big. Like you said, Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, Ratt, Dokken came out at around the same time. Crew made it big at the same time.
Yep.
And again, I mean, Ratt was kind of big. They had platinum albums, but like you said, those other bands, Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, had huge albums in '83, '84, and then nothing after that.
Yep.
But Ratt kept putting out quality for a good 7 years. 84, 6 years worth of just great albums.
Yep. And
somehow they did go platinum, but never went to like a Bon Jovi Poison status. I mean, Detonator is the first album they had a ballad on.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. And it's a great song. Like, what was it called?
Giving Yourself Away.
Giving Yourself Away. I almost said Pushing Yourself Away. Yeah,
song.
Great song. It just didn't catch on. And that's their lowest selling album in their heyday, which is just crazy to me.
And so Out of the Cellar is my favorite album. And Invasion of Your Privacy, the next one, did go double platinum. But then they were all single platinum. But then I thought, Detonator is in my top 3 because I fucking love Detonator. And that one only goes gold. But I mean, that came out in, was it 90?
90, yeah.
90 or 90, yeah. So, you're getting to the tail end. But they brought in fucking, what's his name? The big songwriter, wrote a bunch of Jovi songs.
Was it Bew Hill?
Not Bo. He produced a bunch of their albums. What the fuck? He's got the big ponytail, and now I'm gonna be pissed. What the fuck is that guy?
All right, comment section. You're a dumbass to name it. Well, great. That's gonna be in the clips in the beginning. Me going, fuck. I don't remember the name. I don't know the guy's name.
Or Bon Jovi. Let's get it. Desmond Child. Desmond Child wrote some shit on Detonator. Yeah. So anyway.
That was their push to try to make it big with the ballads, like all the other bands that are around.
Sure.
And just I don't understand how that wasn't bigger.
And
Ratt was a well-known band. It wasn't like they were nobodies.
Yeah. And that album was pretty poppy, Detonator, but I thought poppier, but definitely catchy. I mean,
it was a more commercial version of Ratt, but it was still Ratt.
Totally.
I love that album. I think it's a great album.
Totally. So, yep, Scene of the Crime. All right. What is your number 4?
My number 4, one of my favorite bands from this genre. They made it to our openers show. Same album, actually. It's Lillian Axe with the title track Psycho Schizophrenia from their album Psycho Schizophrenia. Right. A great opening riff. Fantastic song. I said it last time. Blaze and Tyler writing together made unbelievable music. And at the time, this is what my favorite song from the album. Such a great tune. Had the old school Lillian Axe sound, but also combined it with where music was going in '93 when it came out. And it's just a great album, and it was a great way to close it. Such a fantastic album. I remember watching a guy doing a reaction video to that song specifically, and you see him. You can tell these reaction videos when the people like the music, they start bobbing their head like this. It's like, yeah, it's right. It's catchy, you bitch. It is totally catchy song. Again, probably one of my favorite songs off such an incredible album. Another band that kind of changed with the musical times and did it very well on this album.
Yep. I always, in that 92, 93 range, Psycho Schizophrenia, Winger's Pull, Warrant's Dog Eat Dog, Motley Crue's 94. And I even throw in, geez, I really fucking like Every Mother's Nightmare, Wake Up Screaming. I don't know if you checked that out, but
oh yeah. Okay.
Great album too. Anyway, I've talked about fucking Lillian Axe so much. That album, by the way, recently re-released on vinyl, Psycho Schizophrenia and Poetic Justice from '92, and the Lillian Axe box set doesn't have the first two albums.
Yeah,
but it has
that's what
Poetic Justice and a bunch of some Steve Blaze solo stuff, bunch of old Lillian Axe stuff. So you got to check that shit out. But
yeah, because I mean, you keep talking about got people blocking you. I got to an incident with them on X on Thanksgiving, where first of all they followed me. I'm like, holy shit, a band that I love, one of my favorite bands ever, is actually following me. Why do they give a shit what I have to say? But someone had a thing like one of those things like, what concert would you want to see? There's this fictional imagination shit. And I was like, I would love to see Lillian Axe with Ron Taylor singing for them again.
Yeah.
And the official Lillian Axe account said, well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I responded with, yeah, neither will Van Halen get back together now that Eddie's gone. I would love to see that too. And then they got mad. It was just like, well, he left the band on his own. It wasn't like we kicked him out. That was his choice. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck? Metal Mike even tweeted me and it was like, what the hell did you say to piss off Willie Axe?
Yeah.
I go, I don't know. I go, I have no idea. I'm not trying to say anything. Because actually Taylor was on Metal Mike's show. Yep. And he said, I got a good job. I'm not going to tour around anymore. At my age, I'm just not going to do it. I was like, all right, that's cool. I would love to see him sing with them and reunite, but I get it. All right. No hard feelings. And they just took it like, well, it's not. I have a feeling they've gotten so much shit from other people saying, get him back in the band, have him come back. Why aren't you having him back? Why aren't you guys reunite?
Right.
And I guess what I said was like, fuck this, we're done dealing with this bullshit.
Right.
And it was like, wow, that escalated quickly. Holy Christ.
You were like the straw that broke the camel's back.
I might have been, exactly. I was that final straw where they're just like, fuck these guys. It's not happening. Get over it. And I was like, whoa, I know. Hold on. Don't come at me. I'm just saying.
Like, like I've said that every Warrant show I ever went to, in between every song, somebody is yelling, play Cherry Pie. I'm surprised that at some point the band doesn't like, okay, I hear that one more time, I'm fucking curb stomping you, but they're like, they should just put on the backdrop, Cherry Pie will be at the end. It will be at the end. Anyway.
I would have more respect. They said, we're not playing that tonight. All right, cool. Play something better. I'm glad to hear that. No, I have no problems with you not doing Cherry Pie.
Me too. But
yeah,
but I'm like, I just was making that. I'm sure these bands hear some shit like that, constantly. I'm sure they now with social media, I'm sure they get some guy pissed off because they didn't play their favorite song at the show they saw the night. Why didn't you play that? Like, what? Why do I gotta hear this shit? Back in the day, you didn't get that. Yeah, you had the right to their fan club, and then 3 months later they'd open it and read it like, whatever, throw out the letter, screw this guy. Now you get instant, you should have played this song. If I was there, I would have wanted to hear. Oh, shut up.
then don't go. Don't, if you're gonna be an asshole, don't go.
And now bands can't go out there and bang everything that moves because it's all going to end up on social media.
Oh, it's everywhere now. It's going to be everywhere. Yeah. This guy was blah, blah, blah. Oh, shit.
All right. My number 4. Okay. Another, maybe the biggest band that I have not talked about is Van Halen. And so I'm gonna qualify by saying this. I really fucking like Van Halen. I don't know that I worship Van Halen to the level that I do some other bands. So, but anyway, I was like, man, I need to. Well, I was like, well, I'm just gonna look through all the Van Halen shit, and I'm like, holy shit, I forgot that "Top of the World" was the last song on the Fuck album for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and is it me? But that guitar riff reminds me of Jump, the opening guitar riff on "Top of the World." Check it out. Somebody in the comments. In fact, I think I read a little bit on Wikipedia that said like that when Eddie was soloing back on the 1984 tour, that the "Top of the World" guitar riff showed up in a couple places. But anyway, I hear it and it reminds me of Jump. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, maybe the last real huge Van Halen album. What was it? The one came out in like 94 or 95 that Balance. I think did very well too, but this is still like, when Van Halen type shit was still at the top of the charts. So it goes to number 1 on Billboard, goes 3 times platinum, and "Top of the World," maybe one of their biggest Sammy songs, supremely catchy, great Eddie guitar riff, comes in at number 4.
My favorite band. I even got the fair warning shirt on. Favorite band. I think if everyone wants to discuss the DLR Sammy dispute, I'm Team Dave all the way because I like the music better. Sure. But they did mature when Sammy joined the band. 5150 is my favorite album with Sammy, but I think the Fuck album is their best album with him. Okay. I think they kind of clicked on that one. A lot of the stuff that they were doing on 5150 was stuff that was written with Dave still in the band. Like if you listen to Good Enough, the opening track to 5150, that would be a David Lee Roth song easily. Yeah. But after OU812, which was I think they finally hit a stride on that album on Fuck album. I'm not gonna say the whole thing. But I think that is musically their best album. I think with Sammy. Yeah. And spoiler alert, I might have one of their songs later on my list, but yeah, that I'm surprised they didn't release that song as a single.
Didn't they?
Did they? I didn't think they did.
I thought they did.
Did they? If they did, then yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Only ones I can remember is Pound Cake and Right Now. You might be right. Yeah, you might be right.
I think it was. How could you?
Yeah, I think it was because I'm going by the videos. I only remember those two, right. But yeah, they might have. That it is a fantastic track.
I'll say this in the Dave versus Sammy. I really like both of them, and so I'm not somebody who's like, oh, it's got to be fucking Dave. So, but solo careers, Sammy fucking 10 times over Dave, my opinion.
I agree. I also think Sammy's a way better singer than Dave.
Oh yeah.
But also Van Halen was a young, hungry band with something to prove, and the songs were awesome. It's just that, again, I think they matured more once they released 5150, and as time went on, they put more into what they were doing on a more mature level. Because you didn't have Sammy doing goofy shit like swinging swords and splits in the air and all that stuff like David Lee Roth. But it's awesome because it's David Lee Roth. But yeah, I think the Fuck album is probably their best with Sammy. Yeah. And songs like Pound Cake, Judgment Day is a great song by them. I mean, Standing on Top of the World is great. It's a solid album, fantastic stuff. Yeah, and I think to close out that album, that is a great song. I think if you're going with Sammy, a last song and by any album out, yeah, I would have said that one too.
No,
I think both
like,
are great. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
I think the music is. I like the music way more than with David Lee Roth and Sammy.
I like Sammy and I like Dave, but if you were gonna tell me I could go to any Van Halen concert, it would be fucking Van Halen with Dave in the the 80s, late 70s, because that guy was the front man to end all front man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if a time machine, first thing I do is go back to see Van Halen, the Fair Warning tour.
Yeah.
I mean, those first 4 albums, unbelievable stuff. I would top of their game. Would love to see that. I would kill to see that. I give your left arm to see that.
What's it got to be my left arm, motherfucker?
Why not?
You know who wouldn't give their left arm to go see that? Rick Allen.
Oh, but
all right. So
move on from
my
that
number
one.
4. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is this is probably the biggest selling album I have here. It's Rocket Queen from Guns N' Roses, from Appetite for Destruction. An amazing fucking song.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's my favorite Guns N' Roses song. And to end such a fantastic album with a song like that, it's just unreal. I remember getting that album when it came out, and you hear that song, and you're like, shit, this is awesome. I had the cassette, flip the tape over, play it again. I played the shit out of that cassette. But yeah, it's such a great song. Starts off, like we said before, with what's his face? Steven Adler hitting the drums, setting it up, and him and Duff McKagan with that great bass line, kicking off that song. From top to bottom. It's such a fantastic song. And it's not one of those songs you almost get 2 songs in one, because towards the end it shifts what it's doing and has a completely different feel to it. Amazing. I can't say enough about it. Just such an amazing song, amazing album. I know it's kind of popular now to kind of be like, oh, they were overrated and they weren't that good and the album wasn't as good as people thought. Nah, it's a good fucking album.
Fuck.
If you don't agree, listen to that song. Listen to that song and tell me elsewhere. I know, different. It's just
they did kind of like. I was never huge into the Use Your Illusions. If they would have put the best songs on both of them on one album, then I would have been all in. But there's a lot of filler.
Yes.
But Appetite for Destruction cannot be fucking denied. Like that album was a goddamn force and changed everything. Changed, like all of a sudden, like, okay, like now we're gonna start toning down the makeup and we're gonna get sleazier and grittier. I mean, that paved the way for, Skid Row used to be shit. They have pictures like they're all like all of a sudden it became, you had to be more like GNR and less like, Poison on the Look What the Cat Dragged In album. So,
because I remember working at an Italian restaurant, and one of the chefs was a vocalist, and he blew out his voice trying to sound like Axl.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. Everyone was trying to have that scratchy, raspy Axl voice.
Yep. And
unless you're him or that's how your voice is, you just couldn't replicate. You couldn't do it. But yeah, that album was so massive. It was like, it was just all of a sudden out of the blue, this meteor hitting the music scene. And it was like, holy shit, what is this? And yeah, all of a sudden everyone was wearing, jeans and leather and riding bikes and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, before that it was all makeup. Because even in the what the fuck's the song? Welcome to the Jungle video, Axl's got his hair teased up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But he did that as a joke. He was like, I'm going to do it just to mess with people. I'll never do it again. And he didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, once that album got big, oh man, that's one of those albums that changed the music scene. Easily.
Oh, totally.
Easily.
Totally. And to me, like Guns N' Roses is still Guns N' Roses primarily because of Appetite for Destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had not put Rocket Queen on, I was going to. So
yeah, it's got to be somewhere. That's just a fantastic song. I'll still raise the volume on that thing in the car, though I've been listening to it for
and I'm surprised like online, many hair metal people, that's their favorite track.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I love but Paradise City and all that. I mean, that shit got overplayed, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Rocket Queen was something you had to go listen to the album to hear. And
Yeah.
out of the songs that weren't huge singles, like Rocket Queen is easily the best song of the rest of it. And
Yeah, it's an epic song. It's just an epic song.
totally. All right. My number 3. Wearing a Kiss shirt in honor of Kiss. I'm huge. I'm not afraid to shit on Kiss. I've done a video on some of their later albums. I thought the Monster album fucking sucked. And what the fuck? The Elder, was fucking horrible idea. So Kiss, biggest band in the, maybe one of the biggest bands in the world in the 70s, but by the
Easily.
end of the 70s, early 80s, it's like they're putting out pop shit and disco shit, and you're like, what happened? But then in 1982, the album Creatures of the Night comes out, and this is the album that says, okay, hold on a second. Don't put us in our grave yet, because we are announcing that we are ready for the 80s. And Creatures was such, it only went gold.
Mm-hmm.
And it only got to number 45 on Billboard. It wasn't, I Love It Loud was a hit, but this was finally, they're like, okay, we're back rocking and we're metalizing everything. And nothing says that Kiss is back more than the song War Machine, which closes off that album. Guess who co-wrote War Machine? Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance.
He's done a few of these bands wrote with these songs. Yeah.
So the same guys who, Summer of '69. But anyway, War Machine made one of the heaviest Kiss songs of all time. That opening, and it's a Gene, so if you don't know the song, it's a Gene song. The opening guitar riff is like, it sounds like we're fucking at the end of times and you're gonna have to fight for food and total
like road warrior type shit.
And Gene's voice is just growly and fucking sinister, and one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time, and great way to close that album. We Are a War Machine. That album got Kiss back in line to where they could survive the 80s. They started going platinum again. So that's my number 3.
Yeah, when you sent me your list, I couldn't remember the song. I'm not as huge as a Kiss fan as you are.
Yep.
And I was like, how'd that song go again? So I played it, and that first, couple notes of that riff, I go, oh, that's right. Gene sings on this one.
Yep.
And I'm going to say it right now. Mark it down. This is my official word. Any song that Gene sings on automatically raises the badassery of that song. All this stuff. My favorite songs by Kiss, Gene is singing on. It's a way more badass sounding song. And you can almost hear from that riff, like, yeah, Gene's going to sing this one. There's something weird with the opening riffs of a song that he's going to sing. You can tell just by the riffs. It's got way more balls to it.
Totally.
Where it's like, all right, yeah. I mean, that's how I always felt about Kiss. I always liked the songs he sang on more than what Paul did. But again, you're the bigger Kiss fan than I am. But
you're exactly right. And unfortunately, in the 80s, after Creatures, Gene never had singles because Paul was the pretty boy and Paul had the good singing voice. Gene's just a freaking growler, but I mean, I love his voice. But it wasn't until Revenge, which people who know me know that I fucking love the Revenge album from '92.
It was Unholy, right?
Unholy.
Yeah.
That is like the second coming
killer song.
War Machine.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he looked a little
a badass song. That's a badass song. Gene just makes turn up the. Is there a board that has badass on it? And when Gene sings, just raise that and be like, "Here you go, Gene, do your thing." He always sings the best songs.
Gene struggled a little with his look in the 80s, but I loved his one of my favorite Kiss songs of the poppier, Trial by Fire. Gene Simmons. It was off the Asylum album. Anyway, yeah, so I agree. I loved his shit in the 80s.
Yeah, he always has better stuff. I always like this song's way better.
Yeah. Yep.
Right,
So
good
that's
pick.
my number 3.
All
What
right.
you got for your number 2?
My number 2, this came close to being number 1. You already mentioned the band before. It's Van Halen, my favorite band. Today is Alex Van Halen's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Alex, in case you're watching.
Yep.
But it's from my favorite band. This is my favorite song by them, from my favorite album by them. It is from Women and Children First, In a Simple Rhyme. A fantastic song. Like I said, my favorite Van Halen song. Not only is it a kick-ass song, but it's got all the qualities that make a Van Halen song a good Van Halen song. It's got Eddie doing his Eddie thing on the guitar, as always. Dave's being Dave, like he's always being Dave. Michael Anthony killing it on the bass. I think some of the best playing from Alex. He has a Keith Moon kind of vibe that he's playing in this song. And of course, the classic Van Halen backing vocals from Anthony and Eddie, Michael and Eddie. And it's just a great song. Just such a fantastic song.
So
and
that's your favorite.
Van Halen's.
That's your
What's
favorite
that?
Van Halen song of all time?
Yes,
Okay.
Easily. And that's my favorite album by them too. Fair Warning's a very close second. Right. And over the years, I've learned to like that album more and more. It's got a darker tone to it than the previous 3 albums. Fantastic album as well, but Women and Children First has always been my favorite album, though Fair Warning is like right there. It's almost a tie at this point. But I think that song's keeping Women and Children First at number 1. But yes, such a great song. Such a great song.
I'll be honest, like right now I can't hear it in my head. So I'm gonna go listen to it after we get done with this.
Definitely check it out. I mean, was it Metal Mike did a show? It was like top albums before glam became big.
Right.
And he put Diver Down from Van Halen. I'm looking at the screen going, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Isn't Diver Down the one that's like full of covers?
Yes.
I mean, yes. Mainly.
I mean, I think personally, I think that's their worst album with David Lee Roth. People love it. God bless. But like, I'm listening to this going, there's Women and Children First and Fair Warning are way better albums than Diver Down. I'm like, what are you doing, Mike? Come on, man. You should have called me first and double check with this way before you went on. But yeah, again, that's my favorite album, favorite song by them. Fantastic stuff. And it even has that weird ending after the song, what was supposed to lead into their next album, and they scrapped it. They totally scrapped it and went darker with Fair Warning, which again, another killer album. Like I said, if I had a time machine and those lazy scientists would get off their asses and make it already, I would go right to 1981-ish and see Van Halen and Fair Warning tour.
Hey, Metal Mike, are you gonna let him talk shit about you like that?
Oh shit! When I talk shit, I think I made a comment on that. Like, what are you doing? Come on, there's so many better. And other people like, yeah, there's other albums that are better than this. To each his own. To each his own.
Right.
People like you and him aren't huge Van Halen fans, you know, like you. Like, I'm not big into Kiss.
Yeah.
You're big into Kiss and AC/DC. He likes Manowar and Kiss. I'm not. That's not my stuff. My thing is Van Halen. I love myself Van Halen. Great shit.
Individuals, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like what you want. Yeah. That's right. All right.
Not judging.
My number 2.
So I do say Love Bites by Def Leppard sucks. I'll make that judgment though. I'm not judging anything else.
And if you disagree, then you're wrong. Number 2, I've said before that this it changes, but this may be my favorite album of all time. And it's probably the biggest selling rock album of all time, or right up there.
Where you going?
And okay, I probably better say this. No, they're probably not hair metal. And Iron Maiden, somebody's gonna be pissed. That probably not hair metal, but anyway.
Whatever.
So the album is Back in Black from AC/DC, and the song is Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. And that, you know, that album never went to number 1. In fact, it only got as high as number 6. But it's been certified 25 times platinum. And even you go on Billboard, we'll talk about like the top 200 rock albums of the year for each year. Back in Black is still, like, in recent times, it will be in the top 200 rock albums of the year for sales. Like,
Of course.
holy fuck. So that album, you know, and I'm a Bon Scott guy. I really am. But that album, so overall, I like Bon Scott better, but that album, just every song on that thing, to me, could have been a single. And, you know, I love that statement, you know, rock and roll ain't noise pollution. They're, you know, like, they're saying, hey, this is what we're about. You know, we don't care what people think, and we're going to do what we do. And they did it almost better than anybody else. I know not everybody, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, AC/DC it all sounds the same, but, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
exactly, it's AC/DC, asshole. Why should it sound any different?
Yeah.
What do you want, a ballad by them? What? No.
Angus Young said once, he said, yeah, somebody told us that we should write a ballad. And he goes, I did. We wrote the Jack. Not a ballad.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, one of the biggest rock albums ever. But you were saying making a statement. That album was the statement.
Oh.
Hey, we lost our vocalist. We got a new guy. Check this out. And biggest album, one of the biggest rock albums ever.
And it was so ballsy. They just did that all black cover, you know, with AC/DC Back in Black. I mean, you can kind of, you know, I mean, it took a lot of guts to do that. And so shit, I worship that album. And
it's a fantastic album.
Yeah.
Okay. A great album.
That's my number 2. What's your number 1?
My number 1, it's the context of it, why it beat out Van Halen. Again, my favorite song by them, with the favorite album from my favorite band. But this song, in the context of the album, wraps up the album. Not only is the song great, but the album's a masterpiece. It's Eyes of a Stranger by Queensryche from Operation Mindcrime. And that whole album is genius. I will say that. And you can't listen to that album by one song individually. No. You got to listen to the whole thing. I was listening to these songs last night to kind of like, all right, what I'm going to say about this. This is the album I listened to from start to finish. I can't listen to one song and then no. It's like a movie. I'm not going to watch a 20-minute clip of a movie and then walk away from it. I'm watching the whole thing. And this album is just amazing. And this song is the ultimate closer. I mean, it's a perfect way to end it. Jeff Tate's vocals are phenomenal. Another band with 2 phenomenal guitarists, Chris DeGarmo and Michael Wilton. Great pairing of guitarists there. Phenomenal stuff. The rhythm section, unbelievable. I think it's some of Scott Rockenfield's best drumming. Yep. Unbelievable stuff. What's his face? Eddie Jackson on bass. I think he's underrated. And when I was listening to this song last night, I haven't listened to it in a few years. I've been playing bass for over 30, but this time I really listened to it with a bassist ear, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is playing some tasty stuff, laying down the backbone of these songs.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's just such a great song on a fantastic album. And I still remember when I got into Queensryche in college, and I had friends that would play, you know, some of the song, and out of context, it's like, that's a cool song. But when you put it in context with the rest of that concept album, the story of that album, and to close out the song with I Remember Now, and you're like, holy shit. Again, flip the cassette over, play it again. And yeah, I think it's illegal in 4 states to not listen to this song with the whole not listen to the whole album and just listen to individual songs. Someone's knocking on your door and be like, yo, dude, you can't just play Speak. You got to listen from start to finish. Try again, and we're coming back, and with cuffs. But yeah, I can't go on how great this album is. Fantastic stuff. The solo alone, when the 2 are playing harmonies at the end, the harmonizing guitars, it's just great stuff. It's such a great album. I can gush about this and probably do a show about this album alone. But yeah, easily my number 1, because I can't think of a better way to close out an album than that song.
I might blow your mind now. I know that song and I really like that song. I've never listened to Operation Mindcrime
You
as a
gotta
whole
do it.
album. And
You
I need
gotta
to.
do it.
I need to. That's another band where I really like the songs, but I really know the songs that have played on the radio. I
Yeah.
have not like gone and explored their catalog and hearing you know, and that's what I love about this shit, you know, like when you talk about it with that much passion, I'm like, fuck, there's got to be something there. I gotta go check this out. So that's you know, that's what makes doing this shit awesome. So
Yeah, because with that album, they said, fuck it, we're gonna do what we want to do.
yeah,
I mean, to put out a concept album where
totally.
if you're releasing singles, it's out of context. I don't think the singles were released in any order they appear on the album. So the overall story of that album is not being conveyed through the singles.
Right.
But just to say, screw it, we're doing this.
Yep.
Just that alone is balls to do. But
yeah.
I saw them when they did this album in their entirety in 91. When that was after Empire came out, and they said, all right, we got the popularity now and sold out arenas, we can do this whole album start to finish. I think it's probably the best concert I ever saw. It's a fantastic album, great closer to a metal masterpiece. If you haven't listened to it, definitely check out Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Easily my number one. Perfect way to close out an album.
Okay, I will go listen to it after this, if not tonight, tomorrow. I'm just
go do your homework.
I do know a lot of people who fucking just worship. I don't know why. Like I like the singles that I hear. I just don't know if I've liked them enough to be like, okay, I got to explore the back catalog. But Operation,
I think because it's out of context.
Yeah.
If you follow along with the story, out of context, it's just not the same. There are great songs, but again, don't listen to them alone. Listen to the whole album. Right. I listened, like I said, I listened to it last night. And I was at the end, I'm like, oh God, that's just amazing. Amazing stuff.
Okay. All right. My number one. And yes, the band that I've talked about the most on the channel, and done multiple videos on I've covered all their albums. I've done a couple solo videos on just Jani Lane, and Warrant's 1995 album Ultraphobic features the one album closing song that I have tattooed on my right shoulder, and that's Stronger Now. And yes, it's a ballad. I know it's not cool. I should have all rocking, raging songs like you, but I did go with the ballad. And I think it's just ironic that, you know, a lot of these songs in Ultraphobic and on Dog Eat Dog, you know, were, I think, the result of Jani Lane getting divorced from Bobby Brown. You know, they had kids together. So and I've heard that that's when his drinking really got out of control, was after that divorce. So obviously the lyrics from DRFSR and Cherry Pie go a lot darker on the next two albums. But here's, you know, one of the songs, like Ultraphobic, is a very dark record, a very dark and desperate record. But Stronger Now, the final song, is kind of like, hey, after everything I've gone through, you know, I mean, it sucks to lose this thing that you love, that you think is going to be a part of your life forever, and now it's over. But he's saying, I thought that it would kill me, but I made it through somehow, and I'm so much stronger now. Well, you know, when you look back, like, that was wishful thinking, because a year later, 2 years later, a year later, in 96, Belly to Belly comes out, and that, you can tell he's going off the deep end. I mean, there's some dark, dark shit on that album. And, you know, we all know the story. I mean, he starts falling apart, you know, leaves Warrant, puts out a solo album that's, you know, to me is very disappointing. They briefly get back together in 2008, and the shows go well for about 5 concerts. And then suddenly, you know, he's there, and it's on YouTube. He's just gone on stage, dies in 2011. But I have two. I have I Saw Red and Tattooed, and the stories, the songs kind of tell a story. Like I Saw Red is about me trying to, get over this first love that ended, and you didn't see it coming, and I was just devastated. And then Ultraphobic comes out, and I'm like, oh, this is the song that I was I wanted that to be the case. Like, oh, I'm getting strong. Well, anyway, my life was falling apart then too, kind of like Jani Lane's. But great song, a ballad that should have been a hit. I think when that album was coming out, Jani Lane said it was the best song he'd ever written. And, people in underground hair metal circles talk about that song. It's phenomenal, and it's my number one.
Yeah, it is a good tune. And part of me, especially knowing now what he was going through and how his story ends, part of me feels like he wrote that as a therapy, for like a personal therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try and get through this. Let me write about what I'm going through.
Yep.
And you're right. Those Dog Eat Dog and definitely Ultraphobic, they really started getting dark. Yeah. And I think because his life was taking a darker turn.
Yep.
At the time, you didn't think about it. You didn't really know about it. Internet wasn't really much of a thing as of yet. But now looking back, hindsight's always 20/20.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, he was going through some shit.
Yep.
And yeah, I think he kind of wrote that song like, I gotta get some things off my chest. What better way for a musician to do it than write a song about it?
Yeah. And kind of like, like I was saying, like this is what I want to happen. I want all this bad shit to lead me to a better place. But, when you look at what happened in his life, it didn't happen. But I mean,
yeah.
It's a really positive message, and it just sucks that he couldn't live up to that, using those tragedies to better himself. But
yeah. And I remember when he died, that really hit me hard.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, Warrant was one of those bands where I liked the first 3 albums and kind of dropped off with them at the time.
Yep. And
when he passed away, I was like, holy shit. Like I love the first 3 albums when they're out, and I was a big Warrant fan. And that might be really, I don't know, maybe the first time someone I really was big into passed on. You're like, shit. The only thing I think probably tops that was when Eddie Van Halen died.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's such a tragic ending and a tragic story to someone that was, for a good 4 or 5 years on top of the world.
Totally. And
for it to just go down like that. Ugh.
Yeah. And
it's terrible.
What he was maybe now, Robin Crosby died, but that was before. But he was a guitar player. He wasn't in the band for, so Jani Lane might be the first like real like kind of icon of hair metal to pass away. Out of the big names. I could be wrong. I mean, somebody correct me in the comments.
I think there's anyone else that, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there has to have been, but
I mean, and I'm just talking hair metal. Obviously, there were many other.
Kevin Dubrow might have died before him.
That could have been.
I think so. But then again, Quiet Riot wasn't. It had the one big album. They weren't like huge. Yep. But when I remember hearing that, and at the time, I forget the name of the album. Warrant released "Life Is a Song" from Rockaholic. Thank you.
Yep.
And that kind of had this feeling of remembering the good times.
Yep. And
when he died, I would play that song. I was playing that song like, yeah, shit, the guy was on top of it all. And what I got, whatever. And it was just like kind of sad. But then if you watch the video, Jani Lane's not in the
not in it at all.
Yeah, he's not in it at all. And I'm sitting there going, this guy made this band big. You weren't right in heaven.
Right.
And Sometimes She Cries, and Uncle Tom's Cabin. Without him,
I wonder if that was
the beef is too big.
Like, maybe they discussed it with the family and they're like, hey, I don't know. But yeah, I found it really weird. They're looking at all these pictures and nothing with Jani Lane.
Yeah. And I think it kind of was more like before he died, they were like, yeah, the guy, we're not talking anymore. He's not in the band. He has nothing to do with us. Let's put the video together to show the good times, though. We're not going to include him because we're not on good terms, maybe. And the timing sucks. I mean, I have no idea.
And
I have no idea.
I've said I can't imagine what it must have been like touring with him when he was in his addiction. Because bad, you know, and I mean, he almost threw away their career. I mean, in 2008, he was multiple shows, just like I said, fucking gone. I mean, you can tell the band's like, motherfucker, you know. So, I mean, and so I understand people who will say like, oh, he gave them their career. He wrote, but you know, I mean, you can only be on a tour bus with, because I'm an alcoholic and I would black out, and I used to just dread going to work the next day because I worked at a bar, and I would dread going to the bar the next day when I black out because I knew I was just a horse's ass, a dick, you know, and so these people had to be on a, you know, on a tour bus with him. Can you maybe at the end they fucking hated him, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they went through so much shit that like, oh, no, we're done with this guy. I mean, no one ever says, God, last night you were so fucking wasted, but man, what a charmer you were.
It was awesome.
No one says that.
Here,
no one is saying
have
that.
some more. Let's do that again.
Yeah, wow, you were just so entertaining and nice to everyone. And no, you're a fucking drunken asshole who thought you were funny, and everyone was just getting annoyed and pissed at you. And now put that same situation in a tour bus going across Kansas. You want to choke the shit out of the guy. Cut the shit. What are you doing? We're done with this.
So anyway, man, the guy gave us some great songs, and it's
he sure did.
Tragic story. So all right, hey, what do you got? Do you want to list a couple? I mean, shit, we could do another episode.
I know, but I'm gonna go through my list real. Yeah, if we do it, but fuck it, I'll say it again. But I'll go through it quick. Play With Me by Extreme from their debut. That was on a soundtrack, so I left it off. Underrated 70s sounding album, Bit of What You Fancy by London Choir Boys. Take Me Home, great song. I Want to Be Your Man, LA Guns from Cocked and Loaded. I just almost made the list. Ready by Vane from the No Respect album. Another song has a heavy riff, More Than a Man by Stryper with help from To Hell with the Devil. I got a long fucking list here. On With the Show by Motley Crue from Too Fast for Love. Sad Teresa, that would have been my Warrant song for a closer from Dog Eat Dog. One of my personal favorite bands from the genre. Love Hate from Blackout in the Red Room with Hell California Population 4. Loaded Gun by Slaughter, Stick It To Ya. This for these last three for the heavier types, like the heavier music. Damage Incorporated by Metallica for Master of Puppets. A fantastic song, Hollow by Pantera for Vocal Display of Power. And Hook and Mouth by Megadeth from So Far So Good So What.
Okay.
There's a quick rundown of my honorable mentions.
Mine, Brittany Fox, Hold On from the debut. Great White, either Save Your Love or Wasted Rock Ranger, which I think
that's a good one. I love that. Wasted Rock Ranger is great.
Catchy song. Junkyard, Hands Off the debut. Tough, Good Guys Wear Black.
Nice.
White Lion from Main Attraction, Farewell to You. It's just, I kind of hold, you know, that was like the last song on the last album they all did together. Faster Pussycat, Please Dear off Wake Me When It's Over. Really cool ballad that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I Just Wanna off Revenge, even though Car Jam is the last song, I don't really count that as a song. McQueen Only the Wind, I fucking love that album. Pretty Boy Floyd, I Want to Be With You, again another ballad, I really like that album. And finally, Kiss All Night. That is like, it is so supremely stupid,
corny. It's fucking corny.
It is corny. So, but I could only pick one Kiss song, so I went with War Machine. Those are my honorable.
That's a way better pick.
Yep. So, hey, thank you for sticking with us for our video on the best hair metal album closers. Bryan at HB Basement, man, thank you for being along for the conversation.
Thank you for having me. Catch my show on Station Head. Download the app, put in the search Hairband Basement, and you can hear all these bands and their deep tracks and the stuff you don't hear on the radio or on all the metal shows. I'm playing stuff that they're not playing. Definitely check it out. Again, honored to be here. Thank you for having me on. Always a blast.
Yeah. Hey, I love hearing your takes on this. I love our back and forth. I think you're fucking hilarious, and I think
Thanks.
so it makes for I think a great show. So hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Would love it if you subscribe, if you like this kind of shit. Hey, give the video a like. Tell us your comments. What did we miss? And maybe which ones did we put on here that you think we fucked up on? And hey, if you have any ideas, tell me, like, wait, what would you like us to do? Give us some ideas for some show ideas. I get some great ones from people on X, from Bryan. So tell us what you would like to hear us chat about. Until next week, when we come out with a new episode, thank you so much for watching. Take care.